This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or exclusive Patreon-only gameplays, plus a myriad of other perks, then check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. Tuvasa the Sunlit versus Yidris Maelstrom Wielder. I like Ghostly Prison against Yidris and Oblivion Ring. We'd need to get into another land, but we are on the draw, so I'm going to keep that. Okay, well there's some fast mana from our opponent, but it won't help them get out their Yidris unless they've got some coloured mana rocks that they can grab with that. This named wizard, by the way, is this a wizard? Oh, it's an ogre wizard, yeah, so I don't think we have any counter magic in the deck anyway. Get into our first enchantress. We've got a couple more draws to get into a land, or I would settle for a cheap enchantment to switch this on next turn. Alright, and there is a Gruul Signet, so I think they can actually get down their commander next turn, can't they? They can put this into there. Yeah, they can get down their commander next turn. We still are not getting into a land. We've got one more draw for that. And it does need to be a land now, because if it's a cheap enchantment, then get this down, that'll lose us another turn and we'll get hit by the Maelstrom Wanderer, assuming that it comes down this turn. Not the Maelstrom Wanderer, it's Maelstrom Wielder, isn't it? They managed to get themselves into a land, so they don't need to tap down the mana vault. They can just go for the 4 colours they need straight away. A white source specifically is what I would like for the prison turn, but I'll settle for any land that taps for mana, and there we are, there is a white source. Yes, I will go for white with that. Grab ourselves a Savannah, and then we'll go in for prison term. Just need to buy ourselves a little bit of time so we don't ever get hit by Yidris. Alright, and now we can play Sarah's Sanctum next turn and we're on 4 mana. I think it would be worth going for the Satyr Enchanter, or maybe even our commander. Probably the Satyr Enchanter because it can draw us multiple cards a turn. Let's see if they've got removal for that prison term. Well, they're tapping for something big. A Sunbird's Invocation, that's got Oblivion Ring written all over it. Gaia's Cradle will tap because Yidris is still in play. And they've got a 2 mana spell here, seemingly. Okay, it is Key to the City. That's some kind of weird card draw. But it's also a means of getting their commander through. They discard a land and they are down to 1 card in hand. They'll draw 1 next turn, most likely, putting 2 into that when it untaps. Okay, Nevermore would have been good a bit sooner than now, but doesn't matter. With only 1 card in hand, are they going to get much out of the Sunbird's Invocation? I'm not going to risk it. Plus, if we get another enchantment into play, it will make this thing tap for more mana. And our opponent scoops there. They don't know what we were going to aim that at. They should have looked to see where we were aiming that first. I think on second thoughts I might have actually gone for this because it's card draw for them. In order for this to be good, they have to top deck into something big. And even then, it's they could just go into a Signet or something like that. Tends to be what happens with Tuvasa games. They're either fast and we win, or they're slow and grindy and we end up losing. I will try again and see if we can get a real game. Tuvasa the Sunlit this time up against Keranos, God of Storms. And we have a draw to make. We can't get in a turn 1 Green Sun Zenith there, unfortunately, but we could use that to go for an Enchantress anyway, so let's keep that. And we draw into the land we needed, so that's good. Let's go for a tap land there, and our other 2 lands will come in untapped. We actually don't have any enchantments currently. Okay, there is the Mirari's Wake. Yeah, it's just Hinterland Harbour. We can hold up the Mystical Tutor maybe. But I don't really see what we want to go for with that, to be honest. Our opponent seems screwed on their colours, so I'm not in too much of a rush to get casting spells if we don't need to. Can we go for... Yeah, we don't have any enchantments. Maybe just Idyllic Tutor in for an enchantment is the best thing to do here. We can go for an Enchantress card and that will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We can get an enchantment into play and go for Serra's Sanctum. So let's go for that one. Yeah, and our opponent's still screwed. So we'll go in for that. Go in for Serra's Sanctum. And pass over. If we get into a land next turn, we can go for Mirari's Wake. And we do get into another land. So let's do just that. We draw a card. Next turn we can start getting down more Enchantress effects. Thanks to all the mana that we've got. And there we go. Our opponent gets into a blue source. Let's see what they can do with that. They discarded a Repel, by the way. Okay, they go for... What is that? Expel from Orazka, so it looks like they've got a load of bounce effects. There is an Abundant Growth. Yeah, that's just 1 mana of any colour, so that doesn't ramp us at all. Let's just go in for the Mirari's Wake again, and we'll try and hit a land. Because we will draw. We do not hit a land. So what do we want to ditch here? I mean, we've got 2 means of getting enchantments back. Yeah, so we'll just get rid of... I think they're both the same, aren't they? That's an enchantment. And that's an enchantment. Yes, so we'll just get rid of one of those. They're both the same card, effectively. And another blue source from our opponent. Going for another bounce. We get into a land, so we can actually go for the Abundant Growth here. And we've only got 1 blue source currently, so let's go Tropical Island. We can go Abundant Growth, that will draw us a card into another land. And then we'll draw a card from the Abundant Growth as well. Yeah, we've got plenty of lands to make now. We'll just go for the Mirari's Wake yet again. Oh, forgot that will tap for more mana now, won't it? So that might change things. That is... We'll have 2 mana held up. Yeah, I don't think that does anything. We can hold up the Wasteland though. Yeah, I might actually Wasteland my opponent's stuff if they're going to keep being annoying by bouncing things. And then at the end we discard... Yeah, our opponent decides to scoop to that. They didn't like the Wasteland. I don't know what I would have discarded there. Probably the Stasis Snare. No, the Ghostly Prison. Don't think there's going to be too many creatures swinging in at us with the Keranos. Yeah, another fast one. So the third and final game will hopefully be a real one. The third and final run, and we're up against more control magic. Tuvasa the Sunlit versus Gadwick the Wizened. With no green mana, if only that was a forest. Gonna have to get rid of it. We'll keep that. Get rid of the Sterling Grove. Yeah, I don't think I'm too worried about, unless it's Bounce Tribal again. Don't think I'm too worried about Shroud. Alright, Stony Silence might hurt our opponent. Mono Blue tends to go in for lots of artifacts and Teferi, stuff like that. So I think getting down Stony Silence next turn will be a good idea. Might go for the Seal of Cleansing instead if they hold up mana. And there we go. This is what Mono Blue tends to do. Oh, and look, it's Narset. You won't believe the number of times I've come up against Narset today. Seems as though every blue player has Narset in their opening hand tonight. There's a Warm Power Stone from our opponent. So I don't feel bad at all going in for this Stony Silence. We've only got 1 mana rock in the deck and it's Sol Ring. Now let's just see how many times our opponent gets bolted by Mana Crypt. Hopefully it's another 9 times in a row. Narset minusing down again, no doubt looking for an answer to Stony Silence, and there is Disdainful Stroke. That wouldn't have done anything for them. They've had their mana slowed right down here. Let's go. We'll try and draw out a counter spell. So let's go for Wooded Foothills and we'll grab ourselves Thassa. Well, we could just go for Seal of Cleansing actually, couldn't we? Do we want to go Seal of Cleansing? Yeah, I think I do now that I think about it. So let's go Breeding Pool. As much as I would like to draw a card off of this Seal of Cleansing, I think I prefer the speed at this point. And if they've got counters, yeah, that's fine. Sun Titan or something else can grab that back later, but they certainly don't want more of their mana switched off. Sapphire Medallion will save them a lot of mana over the course of the game. They get bolted again, just 8 more of those. And they scoop. What did I say to you all? We either get fast wins with Tuvasa, or our opponent manages to win the game because we stick around long enough to allow it to happen. I do have another game recorded that I wasn't going to put on the end of this one, but after 3 failed attempts at getting a game, I think I'm going to do something unprecedented and give you a 4th game and put a timestamp at the beginning of the video to tell you to skip to that point if you want to actually watch a full game. So that's me done with Tuvasa for this evening. I hope you all enjoy the next game that I'm about to show you. Tuvasa the Sunlit versus Tatyova Benthic Druid. 0 lander. That's a big no. If we had a forest there, that would actually be pretty good, but we don't. That's not incredible either, but we can go for something with Aladamri's Call. Yeah, the 2 mana Enchantress, and then go for this one as well, and hopefully we'll get into lands. We're on the draw anyway. So let's go Supreme Verdict we might make use of. I'm going to get rid of the Mystical Tutor there. I'm hoping we can get into double white sooner rather than later so that we can name Tatyova with that. Okay, a Seal Away might help us out. We'll go for green and white here. Okay, and there is the additional white we need. We're just going to hold up Aladamri's Call here. I think our opponent might be holding up counter magic so they can counter something on their turn if they like. And if they do that, it means they're not countering a Nevermore. Okay, Jade Light Ranger. It was quite expensive at one point. I imagine that was just because of standard though. They reveal a Hinterland Harbour and a World Breaker. What happens to the revealed cards? Put a land into your hand and a plus counter for anything else, so they're drawing into World Breaker next turn. We will go for Aladamri's Call. And we'll go with the Argothian Enchantress just because it's cheaper. I think we're going in for Nevermore this turn just to play it safe. Although we do have a Darksteel Mutation for a Tatyova there. Yeah, I'd rather they just didn't play Tatyova, to be honest. So we'll name their commander. They may have bounce or removal for this, but keeps them from using it on our Enchantresses. They play the Hinterland Harbour that we knew about and then hit us for 3. Followed by a Narset. That will switch off our Enchantress effects. We can only do that on a creature. Okay, so let's go in for... We'll get down our commander. And then we can get Summoning Sickness off of the Tuvasa. Because we might have to start swinging in at Narset soon. And it looks like they're very keen to keep swinging in at us with that. We might be able to use that to our advantage. With a Seal Away. Oh, and a Prophet of Kruphix. That deserves a Darksteel Mutation. Then they go for the minus on Narset. And they can reveal something else with that if they want to. It is a Sol Ring for even more mana. There's a Tech Edge. We go Darksteel Mutation onto the Prophet. And then we can hold up Seal Away. And the Tectonic Edge as well. We can't draw a card with Tuvasa thanks to that Narset. Okay, in response they go for Skyrider Patrol. At the beginning of combat on your turn you can pay Simic and put a plus counter on another creature you control. That creature gains flying. So we successfully get rid of Prophet of Kruphix. We are just going to have to get rid of Narset with spot removal. We're not going to be swinging in, I don't think. So in that case, I think I'd rather just get down another permanent in the Enchantress's presence, ready for when we can actually draw cards. If we swing in there, they'll just block with the Indestructible Prophet. Now a Temple of the False God for even more mana, followed by that Sol Ring that we knew about. Only 2 mystery cards in their hand now. Going to knock Narset down to 1, and they get a Radical Idea, which is draw a card with Jumpstart. And I think they've got World Gorger mana now, so they can get rid of Nevermore, and this is Exile as well, isn't it? Oh, but they're actually going for that, okay. So I think we're in Supreme Verdict territory now, which means I might as well block there, because we're going to try and blow up the board anyway. Oh, a Quarantine Field changes things. Oh, actually, we don't have anywhere near as much mana as we would like for that. No, let's just go for Supreme Verdict for now, and we can go for the Quarantine Field next turn. That can't be countered, so this should successfully blow everything up. Our opponent might regret not going for the Nevermore there. They can get the World Breaker back is the only problem. They have to pay 3 and sack a land, and they can do that now. But instead, going for Radical Idea. Then a Jumpstart on the Radical Idea. They can still go for World Breaker, but decide not to. This time getting into Reliquary Tower. And then a Titania. They don't have any fetches, thankfully. They can sacrifice this thing, and they can get rid of another land with the World Breaker, which will give them an Elemental. We are not drawing into lands. Yeah, having our Enchantresses switched off is really, really bad in this deck. Narset is a real pain. Let's just go for getting rid of Narset here. Aim that at Narset to exile her. We're probably just helping out our opponent. They may just go for World Breaker and blow this thing up to get their Narset back with more counters, so they can get more card advantage. But there's not much of anything we can do here. Yeah, they're going for World Breaker. They sacrifice a forest. They get an Elemental. And that thing goes back into their hand. Then we take a hit for 10 from the 5/3 Elementals. And I'm almost hoping that they go after Nevermore here, but I imagine they're going to go after Narset, and they certainly are. Yeah, we're just having our card draw switched off. There's nothing we can do. Our opponent gains card advantage, and we can't have any. We'd be in a much better position. Well, I was just going to say we'd be in a much better position had we have actually drawn lands, but if we were able to draw at all, it would have been much better for us. I'm sure they swing in for the victory next turn. So let's go for the Verduran Enchantress. And then we can go with a Seal Away as well, and try and seal this thing away. Okay, now a Growth Spiral for even more lands. They'd be drawing a heap more cards if they had their Tatyova in play. But apparently all you need is a Narset to switch off your opponent's card advantage, and that's the win for you. 2 cards have been revealed here. Oh, we knew about the Growth Spiral already. Now it's a Crucible that's in their hand. They do have a Forest in the bin. Let's go for a Seal Away. Again, not drawing any cards. Why did we... Oh yeah, of course we can draw 1 card a turn, can't we? Just no additional cards. So Seal Away comes down, and we'll try and get rid of that World Breaker. We're just going to take a hit for 10 anyway. Then they play out the Crucible. Go for a card draw with Cryptic Caves to get another Elemental into play. And we have finally started drawing lands. Let's go... Can we go for our Commander? Yeah, we can go for our Gothan Enchantress and our Commander. And our Commander will be a 2/3/4 5/5 with Abundant Growth. Yeah, not a 6/6, unfortunately. Oh well. Let's drop Abundant Growth. This is additional mana, isn't it? Oh no, it isn't. Alright, so our Tuvasa's going to be too weak anyway. Let's just play it out. Then we'll play the Argothan Enchantress as well, and we're just going to have to block everything. Yeah, really hurt by the Narset. Our opponent's obviously built a capable deck, it's not to take that away from them, but the thing that's broken our back here is the Narset not allowing us to draw any cards. They go for another card draw on the Cryptic Caves. It's called Cryptic Caves, isn't it? Yes, they can play that from the bin thanks to the Crucible of Worlds. We'll just block everything for the fun of it. In fact, we want to block Titania, don't we? Certainly get rid of her. You never know, we might draw into a board wipe and be able to prolong the game even further. Now, just get into another land. So we'll put Abundant Growth onto there. And the cards we would have drawn are not drawn, so we'll leave it there. And concede to our opponent. Yeah, that wasn't the best matchup for us. Without this Planeswalker over on our opponent's side of the field, I think we could have had a much more fair game, but them being able to draw cards and us not is obviously very difficult for us. So it's a good game to our opponent. I am now going to try and get another Tuvasa game, but you probably won't see it in this video, so I hope you enjoyed this game. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.